Welcome, everybody, to another WSOU artist interview. Today, Pat Grossello here alongside Myles Kennedy of Alter Bridge and Solo Act and a bunch of other stuff as well. So, Myles, how you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you got a new album coming out on October 11th, so just in a few days. That's called The Art of Letting Go. So, pretty much, just first question here for you. What is the meaning of the title of this album? Because it's like The Art of Letting Go. It's kind of like a mystery, it seems. So what do you put into that?
Yeah, it's just, it kind of sums up where I'm at this point in life. Just trying to figure out how to be able to be more, or I should say, less reactive and more just content and grateful for where I'm at. Yeah, it's something that I started trying to figure out a few years ago and how to just be more present, and the art of letting go kind of summed it all up. So I felt like it was an appropriate album title.
Well, I really do like the t title, and I gotta say I'm really into the album cover as well as the vinyl that you put out as well. I love the colors of those. I saw on your website that a few of them are already sold out. So congratulations for that,
Oh,
for
thank you.
the album not even being released yet and already having vinyl that's sold out. I think that's always pretty cool.
That's
I
great.
would think for the artist themselves, but also, so what are you going what are you going for with this album necessarily? Is it more of an experimental album, a lyrically driven one, or more, let's say, musically driven? Like what would you say? Or is it a mix of all of them?
I think in general, I always try to mix a lot of those parts into the equation. It's kind of like, for me, especially with a hard rock record, blues-based hard rock record like this is, it's the riffs and the overall feel of it have to be at a certain level before I want to build the rest of the song, before I want to add the melody to it and then put the time in for the lyric. Because for me, the music and the melody, that's the fun part. I love doing that. But when I'm going to commit to making the lyric and plugging that in, that's a whole new level of commitment and sometimes frustration. There's some people who can just pop lyrics out very quickly and effortlessly, but for me, it's different. I really try to, if I'm going to write about something, I want it to be something that I understand and that I really feel, so it's authentic. So that can be a bit of a challenge. But yeah, for this record, it was about the riff. It was making sure that those riffs were at a certain level. This is a different kind of record than I've made in the solo realm, because the first record was acoustic, second record was more like acoustic at times, blues based, but like southern rock at times. But this is just a rock and roll record.
Yeah, and I saw you had kind of a mini documentary that you have on your YouTube page, kind of detailing the production process a little bit with this album and kind of talking about how the riffs were pretty much something that drove this album. So if you could just talk about that a little bit of just what is the production process and go more in depth, I guess, on the riffs and just the whole album in general.
Yeah. Well, what I would do as far as the riffs goes, I just sit, in hotel rooms or backstage, and I'd sit there with my guitar and a little practice amp and I kept just come up with parts, riffs in particular. And then I'd step away from it, come back and listen with fresh ears. And if it still resonated with me, then I'd start to build the song on it. Once I'd built up enough of those and built up the what I felt like were the skeletons of songs. Then I demoed them, in real, just kind of sonic sketches. Gave them to my band, gave them to Zia and Tim, and they put their parts to it. And then a few months later, we went into the studio, and Elvis, my partner in crime and producer on many, many records, he brought his sonic expertise and arrangement expertise to the whole thing, and helped us, essentially crystallize the whole vision.
So you made this record with a few different people than normally you would with like an Alter Bridge record. So what would you say is the difference between making a record with Alter Bridge compared to making a record solo with different musicians?
Yeah, it's a different process. So with Alter Bridge, Mark and I write the ideas and come together. So it's more of a partnership. With the solo realm, creatively, as far as the songs, right? That's my sole role. So I don't have somebody to bounce ideas off of. The only time I did is when we got to what's called pre-production. So I would sit with Tim and Zia and with Elvis, the producer. And if I had multiple songs that I wasn't sure should make the record, then everybody would go like, "Oh, I think that song's a better song. You should do that one instead." So that was very helpful. In fact, there are some songs that didn't even like "Miss You When You're Gone." That's an old song I've had sitting around for a little while, and that wasn't even one of the original songs I presented. But when I played that one, like, well, what do you think of this? And it was like, oh, that's got to go on the record. So that was cool because that helped me like just decide, you know, it's kind of that filter that it's at a certain point you're too close. Like I've heard some of these songs so many times, I just don't know anymore. And so it's nice to have fresh ears go, oh yeah, that's a good one. We should record that.
So you mentioned Miss You When You're Gone. I think this is a good time to go through the three tracks that are already out off of this album. Track two is Say What You Will, and that one has a music video with it, which features you yourself, which seems to be like you're the teacher of and in a band with like the cafeteria staff as well. So pretty much we'll just go track by track here of the ones that are released right now. So track two is Say What You Will. So just tell me a bit about that, and also what's up with the whole music video of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so well, the video for "Say What You Will," it was fun. When we were talking about what the concept was going to be, I was talking with Tim, our bass player, and he also manages the project. And I said, what I don't want this is to be super serious because the lyric is pretty intense, right? And I didn't want it to be like too dark and too aggressive. So we wanted it to be lighthearted. And so that was fun because it kind of gave us the creative license to do something that I don't know if I've ever really been a part of, to do something a little more from a video standpoint. It's always there's always kind of like this intensity. And we got to step away from that for this and kind of be goofballs, and that was great. I really enjoyed that. As far as the songs, yeah. So that was the single we released a few months ago, and then we released, I believe, "The Art of Letting Go," or not. Sorry, not "The Art of the Nothing More to Gain." And what I like about that track is it's just a different feel than anything I've done in the past, and I think that one is that was kind of a surprise because I thought that was just going to be an album track. I was surprised when started playing the record for people and people were gravitating towards that song and thought, hey, that should be a single at some point. And I was like, really? Well, cool. um, and then "Miss You When You're Gone." Yeah, that was that song I brought in at the very end, and people just kind of connected with it. And so that was an obvious choice to be the third track.
Yeah, so Miss You When You're Gone also has a video to it, but it's a little different, I would say, than the music video for Say What You Will. This one more of an animated video.
Yeah.
So obviously a lot of differences to that. What was kind of the idea of the whole animated thing? And you got a ghost in there. I don't know if that was because the album's coming out during I guess you could say Halloween time in October. Was there something that had to do with that? So what was up with the animated film, I guess you could say?
Yeah, yeah. So we decided for the third one, we would go the animated approach, and Tim actually had a really great idea for this. When he knew the lyric of the song and everything, and a lot of the genesis of that concept came from him, which I thought was a really great idea. Having this ghost and having these different families come through this house, and the dynamic there, and it really conveys that concept of impermanence and how things are constantly changing, right? And it was funny though when he showed me so he talked to Ollie, the guy who put the video together, and it was just he did he did such a great job with getting an emotional impact. Like I have yet to show that video to friends or family where at the end they don't tear up, you know. So that was, that's what you want. You want that emotional thing to tie in with the song.
Yeah, and with I would say at least with that animated video, I think you guys could do a really good job if you ever ventured into maybe making a maybe making a kid show for out of maybe like a rock and roll from a rock and roll standpoint. I
Right?
think that would be something that you guys with the talent and the artistry that you had with that music video. I just thought it was really cool and
That's a good idea. I like
something
it.
that could work. But
Yeah.
then we move to track number 8, which is Nothing More to Gain, which we talked about a little bit before. All of these tracks that have been put out have different types of videos. Say what you will with a real like live action music video. Then you have the animated one with Miss You When You're Gone, and then Nothing More to Gain with a lyrical video. So was there something with Nothing More to Gain that you're like, all right, this is the one that we're going to make uh, the lyrical video and kind of focus on the words that are being said here?
It's funny, not necessarily. A lot of the decision comes as far as, what's going to be the second song we're going to release and how many videos do we want, like videos do we actually want to be in. So lyric videos are such a standard at this point. And it just fortunately I'm happy with the lyrics themselves. I think if it had been a song where it's like, oh, they want you to, not they, but it's like the vibe is we should put out this song next, and it's going to be a lyric video. And if it was something where you wrote the lyrics in 3 minutes and weren't happy with the lyric, that would be kind of a bummer because then it really, it highlights that lyric. But fortunately, like I said, I put a lot of effort into the lyrics, and so there isn't really a song where I'd be ashamed to have the lyric featured. So that's the moral of the story. Is just at every step of the way, make sure that you're putting your best foot forward.
Yeah, and we were talking again before of how you were kind of the lyrics were one thing that you were like, I have the riffs and I have everything else, but the lyrics kind of that one thing that maybe um, I'm not sure, but I'll ask you again here. Would you think that is the hardest part of making this album, at least the lyrical value that goes into it?
For me, almost every record, that would be the part that I obsess about the most. It's funny because like I'll rewrite. I can't tell you how many times I'll rewrite a lyric too. Like I'll think a song is done. I'll be like, oh wow, that song came really quick. I was able to write the lyrics in like 20 minutes or an hour, and it never fails. I'll come back and look at the lyric again with a fresh perspective and go, no, it could be better. You're gonna have to edit that. So that's something that I know plenty of people who don't do it that way. They'll I know a lot of guys that will write the lyric 20 minutes before they're supposed to go in and track the vocal. They'll sit in their car. Oh, I got to do the lyrics real quick. And I'm like, I'm not hardwired. I'm too much of a perfectionist. I couldn't do it.
So what would you say is the shortest amount of time that it took to write a song to the longest amount of time, either by yourself or in Alter Bridge or in another band? Even when you were like a young kid, just like making music, what was the shortest and the longest it's taken?
Well, the shortest, what would be the shortest amount of time I've come up with a lyric? That's a good question. I really don't have, yeah, I can't even think of one that's been super short, to be honest with you, because most of the time I'm just rewriting things. As far as the longest, that's easy. Miss You When You're Gone. I started writing that song in 2018 or 17. And I can't, I just had when I was playing the guitar part, do unto others as they do to you. Da, da, da. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And that's all I had. I liked the melody and I liked that beginning lyric, but I didn't know where to take it. And I just kept chipping away at it for years where I'd sit there and go, I'm going to try and tackle that song again. And another part would come and another lyric would come. So it was a slow, it wasn't something that I was working on every day for 5 years or whatever it took to write it, but it was something that I just kept revisiting. So in that sense, it took time. And that's a good way to write sometimes because then you've got a fresh perspective and it makes you look at it differently.
And I know this is sort of a long time ago now, but since you mentioned that that was back in 2017, 18, that is before the infamous time that I would say everybody probably dislikes the time of COVID-19, which for a lot of artists, that was either a time that everybody just sat and wrote music, or for some, nobody did it at all, and they just took a long break. So I'm kind of interested while I got you here just to ask you how that was for you. How was it during that time of COVID? Did you get some of these songs like "Miss You When You're Gone" kind of not wrapped up, but get more into them during that period of time, or what was your COVID like?
I did actually. I spent that. I took the time to create. I made an entire. That's when I made Ides of March. Yeah, I did. I remember one night in particular. That was when I came up with the chorus for "Miss You When You're Gone" because I was trying to find. I had like I had that song up into the what's now the pre-chorus. But at one point, I thought the pre-chorus, which is the "ooh, gonna na 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 na," whatever that part, I thought that was going to be the chorus, and I was like, man, I think it could be better. Because I like songs that'll have like, oh, there's the chorus. No, there's the chorus. You know, it's like you get this like bonus chorus. So during when the world shut down in 2020, 2021, I remember stumbling onto what would become the chorus for that song and just tucked it away. Yeah, I just tried to take advantage of that time to write and be with my family. You know, I'd been touring so much and I remember the year prior to COVID, 2019, I was on the road or in the studio for like 300 days that year. So I just was gone all the time. So it was kind of nice to be home. I'm not gonna lie.
What makes the art of letting go a different project from your previous projects? Like, what are the differences you would say?
Well, as far as from the previous solo records, it's a plugged in affair. It's a rock and roll record, and seeing where it evolved to from where it started, which was an acoustic record with Year of the Tiger. But as far as the differences between like Alter Bridge and between Slash and Conspirators, there are more similarities in the sense that it's riff based and it's loud, it's electrified, and then my voice is on top of it. So there are going to be those hallmarks. But I tried to be cognizant of the kind of riffs that I would use. Like most I would say most of the riffs on this record wouldn't necessarily fit into Alter Bridge territory because they're more blues based. They're more kind of from the hip, and there's more roll than rock. You know, and so with Alter Bridge, it's there's a little more of a metal undercurrent there.
I would say that my favorite track personally is Say What You Will. As of right now, I haven't listened to the whole album yet. I've only listened to the tracks that have been released. But right now, Say What You Will is my favorite track. So, as the person who made the album, um, what is your favorite track that is either released or unreleased right now?
My favorite track is a song that hasn't been released. It's called Behind the Veil, and it's a lot of it's just because the guitar getting to play like a long guitar solo on it and just really stretch out there was fun for me. I mean, this record has also been a kind of an excuse to play a lot of guitar because I started as a guitar player. So that's probably my favorite on the record. But as far as out of the tracks that have been released, I agree with you. I like Say What You Will. That one, I feel like that was a good way to kind of introduce everything.
Well, you got a tour coming up. I believe the US Canada one starts in January, if I'm correct. So, just how hyped are you for that? And for people in the area here in New Jersey coming to the Stone Pony, I believe you have been there before. I think it was last year with Alter Bridge and Wolf Van Halen's band, Mammoth.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, just are you excited for tour? And locally coming to the Stone Pony, how excited are you to be there?
Yeah, I'm stoked all the way around. Yeah, we start in Europe in like a couple weeks. I think we start in Germany. And so we'll do that. So it'll be nice by the time we get to the Stone Pony, we'll be good and well rehearsed, a well-oiled machine by then. And I love playing the Stone Pony and I love that area because there's a lot of diehard rock and roll fans. It's funny when you tour a lot, you see certain parts of the world like rock is bigger in certain places than others, and that area is definitely full of rock fans. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun there. I'm pretty sure last time you were at the summer stage, I would think this time it's actually going to be in the Stone Pony, which is such an incredible environment if you haven't played there yet. I'm not sure if you have or not, but it's It's
think
one
I
of
have,
those,
yeah.
yeah, it's one of those small bar areas that it's
Yeah.
just a lot of fun. Everybody's packed together, and it's definitely you'll put on a good show in there, and I know for sure.
Sweet.
Um, but another question I have is how is like making a solo album? Like we talked about this a little bit before, but making a solo album with just yourself and not really, I guess, having someone like Mark Tremonti there to be on the guitar, just like what is different about that? Is that something that really plays a huge factor or no?
Yeah, because for me, it's kind of like what I was talking about earlier. With playing with like Mark and playing with Slash, and these guys are like very established guitar players. And so I'm not gonna be the guy that comes in and goes, "Hey, I want to play guitar solo here, and I want to do, that." I've always been very aware of the circumstances and the level of talent that I'm playing with. But at the same time, I started as a guitarist. Arguably what I love more than anything. Even probably maybe even more than singing. So yeah, the solo records are really just an excuse for me to play guitar and play solos, and you just find new ways to stay excited about the instrument. So, and that's part of why I keep it as a three piece as opposed to getting a touring guitar player, because I like that pressure of having to carry the whole thing with just one guitar, because it's way different. Trust me, when you've got just one guitar up there. You've got to fill out the space, sonically, you got to be accurate. You got like, there's nothing to hide behind. It's not for the faint of heart. So I like that challenge.
You like that challenge, even being on tour? That's something that really like b puts it into you.
Yeah, every night, because every night you go out and stand on that stage, you're like, this, because we're not using um, we're not playing to tracks. We're going out there and we're doing it, and we're going to see what happens. And some nights are better than others, but I love that. I love that organic feel.
Just kind of jamming it out. But
Yeah.
someone that you did mention who I have a question about here is Slash, who you have worked with. So Slash being probably one of the most influential, not just in rock, but musicians of all time. How was it working with a guy like that?
That's amazing, and I've learned a lot from watching how he works. And I think the thing I've gotten more than anything is just his work ethic and seeing how much time he puts into his craft. And he's at a point in his career where he doesn't have to do that. He could just kind of roll along and be comfortable, but still works he works as hard as the person who's trying to come up the ranks and make their way into the business. He's just nonstop, and I love seeing that, and it's really helped me stay inspired. It's a beautiful thing.
So what was your first experience when you first met Slash?
My first experience, he sent me a demo for a song that would become Starlight. So then he sent it to me. I put my vocal, I wrote a melody and wrote a lyric to it, sent it back. He liked it. So I flew down to LA in like 2009, around this time of year in 2009, to record my vocals. Uh, and he picked me up at the hotel. He showed up, and I was like, "Wow, you're getting a ride with Slash, cool." And we just we talked on the way to the studio, and just kind of got to know each other. And then I recorded the tune with them, and then we hung out later that night. And he presented the idea of doing like a little tour that next year, and 15 years later, we're still doing it. It's crazy.
So you've worked with Slash, which I would assume is a bucket list thing. What is another dream artist that you would definitely like to work with?
Oh, there's so many. Oh, we could be here all day.
You can name a few. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Wolfgang Van Halen and I have talked about doing something at some point. I'd love to do that. Just talk with Devin Townsend. We've talked about doing something. That would be great. Um, as far as like different genre, like different kinds of people you wouldn't expect, I'd love to do something with Stevie Wonder. I love Stevie
Wow.
Wonder. Yeah, that would be killer.
Wow. A Myles Kennedy Stevie Wonder collab. That's something that I think everybody would want to see. I'm curious how that would sound. I think it would sound very good. You talked about Wolfie's band with Mammoth. How was it touring with them? I know that was with Alter Bridge, but a fairly new band, obviously with Wolfie and Eddie Van Halen. The anniversary of his passing, unfortunately, I believe was either yesterday or the day before. So, good time to kind of bring up how was it touring with Mammoth?
It's great. They're like family, not just because of Wolfgang, but the whole, so I've known Garrett for 20 years, their drummer. Frank, obviously, we tour together, we tour the world together with Slash's band. So there's a real familiarity, and Ronnie John as well. They're just great people. It's like the perfect fit in a lot of ways. It just feels so natural. And they make us work hard because they're so good. So to follow that, you got to bring your A game every night. I mean, they're amazing.
Yeah, I think all the Van Halen's absolutely insane. And like you said, I'd like to see a collab again with Myles Kennedy and Wolf Van Halen. I think that would be pretty cool. Question to you, in terms of Alter Bridge, what would you say is your favorite song from there?
I would say probably Blackbird. Yeah, that's the one. That's the that's the one.
Yeah, it's hard not to pick that one for sure. Blackbird, obviously, one of your biggest tracks of all time, but kind of getting away from the music aspect of everything. What are some hobbies that Myles Kennedy has outside of the music industry?
Uh Hobbies. I don't really have much. I try, I kind of have recently gotten into horology, so I like automatic and manual watches, old, like old movements before digital and quartz. That fascinates me. Um, I like classic cars, so like just understanding what's under the hood and understanding how that stuff works fascinates me, and just the beauty of those old cars and the lines and whatnot. Um, but other than that, I'm just kind of a music nerd. That's all I know. It's all I've known forever.
So pretty much all music, that is the hobby.
That's right. My hobby is that's the best way to live. If your hobby can be your livelihood, it's a beautiful thing.
So you say you pretty much started as a playing guitar. So when did you first pick up the guitar, and how was it? Was it seamless learning it, or was there a lot of struggles?
I picked it up. Came to me pretty easy for the most part. Yeah, I mean, I worked at it. I worked really hard, but for whatever reason, I think I inherited a certain music trait from my biological father that helped me kind of progress. So that was nice. I mean, there were certainly songs and techniques that everybody struggle with, but but overall, it was something that I understood early on, and I kind of always had a good ear, so that made it a lot easier.
Well, we're running short on time here, so I kind of just want to end off with asking if there's anything you would like to add or tell your audience about the art of letting go, or anything that you have planned in the future, or in general, anything like that.
No, I think you covered it, man. Just be out touring. I'll be coming to a venue near you
Yeah,
very
well,
soon.
I I definitely hope that I can see you in Asbury Park in January. That would be a lot of fun and really cool to see a Myles Kennedy show. And for anybody listening, it is really cool to see Myles Kennedy live. So thank you for this interview. Good luck on tour, and yeah, should be a fun one.
Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate your time, brother.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
All right. You too. We'll see you.